Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand all the closing action of the D Street, the day, how it panned out so far. Also in terms of the sectors, the stocks and the benchmark indices, what is the trade that you're spotting right now and how are investors really placed at this point in time? The experts, how are they watching the markets at this point in time and the way you should be strategizing on your positions in the equity market as well. All of that coming up, but first up, a quick look at how the markets are trading at 628 on the Nifty 50. 25 points up in trade, 0.1% of an uptick, 59,466, about a 0.2% of an uptick. Why am I sounding and happy about this? Because throughout the trading session, if you've not followed the markets have been down and out, and this is the third day running when the Adani Group stocks and the fall in the sharp fall in the Adani Group stocks had actually triggered a domino effect in the markets, and the markets had been continuously sulking on that as well. But it looks like towards the closing of the session, the budget week and the budget theme is perhaps going to take over, and the markets are looking brighter than what they were in the morning spot as well, even though we are still below that 60,000 mark on the Sensex. Let's look at how the other factors are playing out in terms of the broader markets. How are they looking at this point in time in terms of the market scenario? The mid and the small cap 100 indices, they are still down and out. If you could say 0.5% down for the mid cap 100 index, but the small cap 100 index has now come into the positive zone, about 0.06% up in trade. The mid caps are still sulking about 0.1% lower in trade. In case you want to talk about the market breadth, you will see definitely the market breadth still, favoring the declines at this point in time, but about 20 advances now to 30 declines at this point in time as far as the market breadth is concerned. In terms of the top gainers in the markets, you do have Bajaj Finance as the top gainer right now, 3.9% uptick for that one. Adani Enterprises from the Adani Group, that's rallied today and that's come out of the sell-off zone that it was in the last 2 days, 2.7% uptick for that one. Bajaj Finserv also supporting Bajaj Finance moves right there, 1.6% uptick. Ultratech Cement and HCL Technologies, those are the some top 5 names as far as the Nifty gainers are concerned. On the downside, the pressure still being built by some of the financial names like Indices Bank, that's lower in trade, Power Grid, JSW Steel, Bajaj Auto, L&T, those are the names which are down by about 2.5 to 3% in the trade today. In terms of the sectors now, barring the IT sector, rest all of the sectors are still in the red zone, but strong momentum coming in on the IT pack, 0.8% of an uptick for that one. But the banks are lower, 0.7% lower in trade today, especially caused by the decline in both PSU banks and private banks, and also financial services, almost to the similar tune of about 0.5, 0.6% lower in trade. Metals are down in trade 0.8% or so, royalty down by 0.9%, some pressure coming in on the metals pack and the pharma pack too. And apart from that, it's the auto space that's also moving in the slower lane. But let's welcome our guest for the day. Mr. Abhishek Basumallick joins in. He's the founder and chief equity advisor at Intelsense Capital. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Well, as we speak, the markets are inching higher now, 250 points up for the Sensex right now. Looks like they're finally coming out of the kind of sell-off that we've been witnessing on the D Street for the past 2 or 3 trading sessions. Your own sense of how are you looking at the market scenario?
Uh, First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I'm not very enthusiastic like you are. I think it's just the markets have been all over the place for the last few days. And
Yes.
uh, other than, if you take out the Adani issue that has been taking all the limelight, I think, we are heading towards a big event, which is the budget. And until and unless the budget is out of the way, the market is not likely to take a particular direction. Whether we go up from here or down will probably be determined based on how the budget is perceived by the market.
So you're not too sure about whether this could actually spill over into a pre-budget rally tomorrow. That's not going to happen.
I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but my sense is that if we have a rally, it will be probably on the budget day or post-budget. I don't think we will have a pre-budget rally because the market is going in with fairly bad kind of last couple of months, I think.
Right, right. Well, as we speak, the advances are picking up pace. 29 advances to 21 declines. Now, the Nifty Bank is coming into the green zone as well. PSU banks, private banks, both leading the kind of recovery that we are seeing in the markets. A very, very smart up move. 1.26% right now for the IT pack. So, the strong move is really coming about. How are you looking at this very, very smart recovery that is playing up? Is it sustainable is the question that everybody wants to know, because so far in January, like you also pointed out, markets have largely been directionless. They've been sideways as well. But looking at the kind of triggers that the budget could perhaps provide, but at the other end, we also have on the 1st of February FOMC meeting as well. So still a lot of uncertainty that the markets will have to maneuver.
That's right, and let's not forget that we are in a trading zone in the overall markets, right? So uh, whether we are going up or down on a particular day, we are not going beyond the trading zone, and that's something that we need to keep in mind. And so my thought is that if there is some positive movement or indications in the budget, we might be able to get out of this trading zone on the upside. If there are some things which the market does not like, which there are a lot of concerns around capital gains taxes being in which case markets can actually go further down. I mean, break the downside on the in that range. So it's basically it could go either way in the very short.
Right, absolutely. But Abhishek, I wanted to know from you, what is going to be your stance ahead of the budget? Are you going to be doing anything to your portfolio? Just watch it till the time the triggers spill out. What are you going to be really doing?
Yeah, so we don't invest looking at a particular event or looking at very short-term positions. Our investment style is more medium to long term.
Hmm.
And I think in that sense, the spaces that we liked earlier, we continue to like infrastructure. We like electric, the entire electric space. What we call the transition economy, right?
Hmm.
I've been talking about the transition.
Hmm.
So basically, things that are moving from one to the other. So there's been transition happening in the, let's say, in mobility. So we are seeing migration from fossil fuel to renewables. We are seeing migration from ICE engines to electric vehicles. We are seeing migration from 2G, 3G to now 4 and 5G. So these are migration sectors, uh, and their spin-offs. So these are areas which I like, capital goods, engineering, infrastructure. So these are spaces that we like. And in sectors where we're looking for a turnaround are, prominently, I think pharma is prominently in that space. Life insurance, general insurance is again something that we're looking at very, very closely.
Hmm.
Uh, so, from a medium to long term, I think, results are coming in fairly
Yeah.
good. So, nothing really to be concerned about. Short term triggers, upside, downside can happen. Budget could be a trigger. But typically, what I've seen is within a week of budget announcement, things,
Yeah.
all the news are digested by the market. So,
Okay.
budget does not have an impact beyond the first 5 to 7 days.
Okay. The kind of move that you're seeing today on the IT pack, and a few days earlier also, we've been seeing some kind of a bounce in the IT space. Does it give you any encouraging signs to now look at the sector positively again after that 1 year of underperformance that we've seen in all the top large cap majors, also the mid cap spillover happening all across? But is this early sign something that investors should really pick up as an indication that they should perhaps go ahead and buy more?
Yeah, I mean, IT is sort of bottoming out, and both in terms of prices, in terms of stock prices, as well as I think in terms of bad news coming in. So next 2 quarters, slowly things will change for the better.
Hmm.
The market is going to sort of anticipate that slightly early,
Hmm.
and we might actually have seen some of the bottom being made in IT prices. If you look at Nasdaq, I think Nasdaq has sort of made at least a short-term bottom from whatever I could see in terms of the charts.
Hmm.
So uh, IT could actually, also being a defensive, it could actually sort of perform well over the next 3 to 6 months.
Sure, sure, sure. Let's now focus on, the Adani Group stocks that continues to be in the news as well. Continuously, there's been like back and forth, a fight happening between the Adani Group and Hindenburg, report as well. Rebuttal after rebuttal really coming in. Both parties not really agreeing on the social platforms or the public platforms as to, and defending their own stance as to why they feel, the other party is wrong at this point in time. How are you looking at and analyzing this entire scenario that has played out over the last 3 days or so? The way the management has come out, talked about the FPO and the stance over this as well. 418-page response that Adani Group has really given. 488 questions. Hindenburg says about 68 go unanswered. Your own sense of how have you read through the entire saga that has really played out?
Okay, so first of all, this is like Warren Buffett says, it's in the too hard pile. It's very difficult to actually figure out what is going on. I am a bystander. I'm looking at it, more like what we see in OTT, the thriller movies. I'm just sort of observing it like that because we don't have a position, we
Yeah,
don't have a view.
yeah, it's
Uh,
easier said for you, like because you don't have a position. Think about all those retail
yeah, so let
investors who were
yeah.
enjoying this joyride and now looking at this 20% downward circuit on most of the stocks. Yes,
No,
please
so
continue.
let me
Yeah.
yeah, so let me sort of answer that. Two parts to this, right? So if you are a long-term investor, okay, then if you had bought earlier, you would have had some thesis in mind. If that thesis still continues, you should hold on. If you are a long-term investor and you're looking to buy now, I would
Hmm.
say just avoid right now. Wait
Hmm.
for the dust to settle down.
Hmm.
If you have a view that you can buy and hold for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then just 1 month here or there is not going to make a difference.
Okay.
Maybe what is the best and the worst that will happen. What from a investor's perspective, the bad thing that might happen is the stock price might go up, right? And
Yeah.
you might miss the bargain that is being perceived right
Hmm.
now, that okay, the
Hmm.
stock prices have fallen and
Sure.
I will not get this bargain again. So if that is the view, then okay, you might not get it at this price, but you will buy it at 10, 15, 20, 30% higher. But if
Hmm.
you are willing to wait for 10 years, 20 years as a long-term investment, then it's not going to make any difference. On the other
Yeah.
hand, if the prices go down, uh, then you don't want to get saddled with a position and then get bombarded with news from different sides, because then what happens is your ability to think calmly goes away,
Hmm.
right? The very fact that I am able to just dispassionately look at it and
Sure.
see this as as a movie being played out is because I don't have a position. If I had a
Correct.
position, I would be really concerned about what is happening with my money. So
Sure.
that's the first part of the investors. Now, if you're a
Absolutely.
trader, now if you're a trader, then if you had bought it earlier, you would have had a stop loss, or you would have had a stop loss. Then for risk management purposes, then you need to follow that stop loss, get out, and whatever system you follow. If you are doing intraday, if you're doing positional trading, depending on what you have to follow that as a discipline, right? The most difficult thing to trade or invest in is stocks based on news, because news, and especially in this kind of an environment where news flow is so strong and you're seeing back and forth, it's very, very difficult to be in the midst of it. And as a retail investor, and you will always be at the end of that news flow, right? Everybody else will know the news first before there are people who are institutional guys who will have quicker access. You will have access where you're slower, plus you're maybe working somewhere, so you'll be able to react, and so and so. So
Hmm.
that's a very difficult game to play. It's best to stay out,
Yeah.
and once this dust settles, decide where you want to go. There are 5,000 stocks in the market. You don't have to be in 4 5 of the ones where there are a lot of news flow. You can be in the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah. Absolutely. What about the FPO? And you know, what you are advising? A lot of clients must be calling you up and asking whether they should really be going in for this FPO. Right now, Adani Enterprises stock price is below the FPO price band that has been decided. Even though the stock is up 5% today, you know, does that change anything? Because so far we've only seen the institutional buyers really coming up front. The retail portion is still, you know, disappointing so far, and the
So
management
I think
themselves, yeah.
I think that answers your question, right? If the retail is not willing to come in, simply because the price is available in the market. So if I have to go in and buy, I will buy it from the market, right? Why would I go and buy at the FPO? Because the price, I'm getting a better price directly in the market.
Right, right. But if the FP also goes through, do you think the markets will be happy and relieved, and that technical factor is over, and that is something that the markets are really not? Do you think that that is something that the markets are not bothered about at all?
I have no clue because there have been a lot of events in the past, very large things that have happened where the market has been witnessed. We've seen wars, we've seen the coronavirus pandemic, and markets tend to digest every kind of news, right? So it's
Hmm.
not, nothing is permanent. So, within a few days, weeks, whatever, uh, uh, even this phase will go off. And you also have to understand that the number of people who have position in the set of stocks that say the Adani group of stocks, it's not too many, right? So the interest probably is more vicarious. People are just looking at it and seeing what is happening. But how many people are actually impacted
Hmm.
by the movement, other than spill off effect onto the other stocks that they may own? That may be a different issue. But directly, how many people are actually invested or are trading in these impacted set of stocks? I'm not very sure. But I don't
Okay.
see this as a very big positive or negative either.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay, understood that as well. Let's also focus a little bit more on the markets as to what they're doing at this point in time. Of course, Adani Group, we will keep tracking and the way the news developments flow from here. And we'll also keep letting you know about the stock prices and how they're moving at this point in time. Well, so far, of course, it has been a rout in the Adani Group stocks. And we have seen that, you know, the group has also lost a considerable amount of market cap as well. The promoters have also lost a lot of money, and so have the retail investors. They've lost a lot of ground as well when it comes to the kind of profits that they were sitting on. So it is a tricky situation, and we'll keep following up so that you get more clarity as to how should you be approaching your investments in the Adani Group stocks. But also let's look at how the other factors in the markets are really playing out as we speak. A whole host of earnings have come about. So I just wanted to take one or two comments on the earnings as well. Let's talk about the banking major Punjab National Bank. That's posted a 44% fall in the Q3 net profit at 628 crore rupees or so. How have you been looking at Punjab National Bank, both fundamentally and the way the stock price has performed over the last 1 year? And what would you really suggest investors to do now?
So I've not yet looked at the PNB results, but
Okay.
overall, I think the overall, PSU banking space does look good. In fact, the entire banking space looks good. The challenge is, I think, the stock prices had run up a lot for the last, 6 months. Uh, Having said that, as and when the economy picks up, which I think is going to happen or is already in place for happening over the next 2 to 3 years. I think PSU banks and the other private banks should definitely do well,
Okay.
and PNB being one of the forerunners amongst the PSU pack, should do well as well.
Okay, understood that too. One more stock here. Let's talk about Bajaj Finserv. Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv have been in the news in the latest, off late as well because of the kind of volatile moves that we've been looking at the stocks. But the earnings per se, they look encouraging, and the stock has reacted positively onto that front as well. How are you looking at these Bajaj twins as well? Bajaj Finserv per se has recorded a 45% jump in the Q3 net profit at 1782 crore rupees. Your favorite pick from here? Would you still go ahead despite the kind of valuations that they are trading at?
So first of all, disclosure: I'm interested, personally as well as from client perspective on Bajaj Finance. I've been holding this stock for many years. continue to hold it, continue to like it. The quality of earnings, the consistency that they've shown uh, has been really good.
Hmm.
Opportunity size in India is very large.
Yeah.
They've got a fantastic execution team. Things, once in a while will go here and there, but as long as the long-term trajectory in terms of, earnings growth is there, I don't see a major challenge. So, I like both Bajaj Finance and Finserv.
Okay, looked at that as well. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Basumallick, for being with us on the show and sharing your thoughts and insights on the overall markets and several pockets that we've just discussed. Always a pleasure having you with us on Business Today TV, and we shall continue to chat more on markets going forward too. Let's quickly look at the closing action as well as we speak. 10 minutes to go.